What are your excuses for not changing? What excuses have you made for yourself today? You may think you are too old to start studying Chinese, or that the things you want to do can wait until later. You may not encourage yourself to continue towards the goal you had set for yourself with so much enthusiasm. Maybe it's because you're starting to feel tired and doubtful. It's not about fear. It is not about having the ability to do something or not. It's funny enough that it's not about having trust either. All of this is the product of your own excuses for not changing for the reasons your mind creates. Unfortunately, you start to lean on these excuses. The difference between the people who have acceptable lives and those who have good lives is not the absence of fear. Even better is the absence of excuses. We are all afraid, as fear is a natural emotion. And yes, it is true that many times, it blocks us, paralyzes us and keeps us from moving forward with what we want. But fear doesn't make us throw in the towel. This act is one we perform for and by ourselves based on our own will. You hide behind more excuses for not changing. They have no reason to be there. Fear drives us towards them. Uncertainty does too. In this way, we redirect our sensations to the rich world of excuses. Are you committed to what you want? Let's give the example that you are trying to be more responsible or that you are thinking of changing jobs because what you have is not satisfying you. Of course you have a clear goal, but you are missing something. You may have doubts whether you will be able to achieve it or not. You may start to assume that it won't be worth it. Without realizing it, you will start procrastinating. To procrastinate is to leave until tomorrow what you could do today. But due to various circumstances, you decide to postpone these things or tasks. This means that in reality you are not as fully committed to your goal as you may think. When you really want something, you try to delay it as little as possible. There are no valid buts about it. Tomorrow you may not have the opportunity that is presented to you today. You get things done by moving the chess pieces around and not by staring passively at the table. Are you making excuses not to change? Let's imagine that we have a temper that creates problems in our relationships or even problems at work. We have had several wake-up calls. Yet each time we have reacted with yes, I have to change the way I treat the people around me. You consider other people to be right and also don't like the way you behave in certain occasions. Yet everything remains the same as the days go by. You do nothing and change nothing. The big question here is why? Only by acting, by doing, by moving the chess pieces, can you make anything you want a reality. The answer can be found in the fact that the word tomorrow is always rumbling around in your mind. But when the next day comes, you've already forgotten what you procrastinated. You are not really committed to the change because laziness overcomes you. It may even be that you believe you are too old to change certain aspects of yourself. However, this is a mistake. Age can be a decisive factor, but our thoughts are also decisive. And they carry more weight. Do you really or do you just think you do? Phrases like these will probably be familiar to you. It's not worth it for me to make the effort because I won't get the desired results. But have you already put in the effort or are you simply predicting what might happen? Sometimes we are not honest with ourselves. We justify our behavior based on something that hasn't happened yet. This happens because we are not really committed as we mentioned earlier. In that case, you just make excuses not to change. The problem is that in some cases people are tricked into thinking they are doing something useful. In reality, they don't move to get what they want. Every excuse makes us feel better, as victims of circumstances that don't allow us to achieve what we want. However, this is a big lie. Think, do you really want to achieve what you say, or are you just saying it? Find the willpower to change instead of making excuses not to change. In life there are paths that really make us panic, whether they are forced upon us or imposed upon us. Not only when we try to shape our personality, but when we begin a new adventure. For example, like starting university again or leaving a job to do what actually satisfies us. But it is only about wanting it and making the effort. There is no easy way out, but this problem is what can help us flow if we face it in the best possible way. It doesn't matter if you think it's not the right moment or if you have all the resources to achieve it or not. The truth is, you rarely have all the resources you need, not even with all the time in the world. Whatever doubts may arise that tell you don't do it, do it anyway, without giving yourself any excuses to change. Many of the boundaries that you consider real exist only in your head. You can put an end to these boundaries if you confront them with reality, instead of making excuses for not changing. It is not necessary for you to lie, not to yourself and not to others. If you don't want to move towards something, then don't. But if you want to achieve a certain goal, do it, without second thoughts. Without excuses, without procrastinating, without doubting. Get things done without thinking too much about it. Because when our mind starts to grab hold of ideas, we become blocked, become completely paralyzed.